Hi, this is Toby from LITH-TECH Mobility. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about wheelchair maintenance. So recently I've been quite active on our Facebook page, and if you're not already joined to us, type in LITH-TECH Mobility into Facebook and like and follow our page. Lots of useful tips and information on there, upcoming products, etc, etc. So the two things that people said that they wanted to see more from us in regards to video content is one on wheelchair maintenance and two on the dreaded curbs and cambers. I'm going to touch on this video because we've had quite a busy week, so I haven't really had time to get outside and do a really decent video on the curbs and cambers, but this one I can touch on pretty quickly because it is quite a quick and simple video to get across. Electric folding wheelchairs are great because they're quite simplistic and it's not rocket science. To actually maintain these chairs yourself is incredibly easy, and anyone says you actually need to service an electric folding wheelchair is basically just trying to get money out of you. I will teach you how to maintain your wheelchair so you don't ever need to spend a penny with a mobility shop. Okay, so the first and foremost thing is remembering when you go over undulated ground, cobbles and things like that, any sort of bumps, over time vibrations are going to loosen off your wheelchair bolts. The most important thing to do is maintain your chair and keep things tight. So if you were to leave your chair for about a year, the chances are things like your armrest bolts, under here, any of these bolts, they're going to start loosening off. And I've actually seen it where people bought their wheelchair and they've not tightened them for 2 years and the wheelchair is pretty much falling apart. We make it very clear that these chairs are very low maintenance, but you still need to do something to keep them up to scratch. The other two kind of parts of it, so one maintaining bolts and the other is cleaning it. The analogy I always use is if you were to go out on a mountain bike with a mountain bike trail where it's muddy and things like that, and you're going to come back and your bike is caked in mud, your chain and all your gears, if it's not cleaned correctly, they're just going to go rusty, they're going to clog up, and obviously everything's then not going to work correctly. It's exactly the same with your chair. So the two things we need to do, and I'll go around this in pretty much bolt by bolt actually. So I'm going to touch on a couple of things. All we need for wheelchair maintenance is a multi-spanner, so something like this, and we need a couple of Allen keys, two of the same and two of the same. If you can get yourself just a couple of little Allen key kits, or if you've got some tools, that would be great, because sometimes where you've got a bolt on this side, you've also got a bolt on that side. So if one was to now stick this in here and turn, what's basically going to happen is that side's going to spin as well. So you need to have an Allen key that's exactly the same size at this side as it is that side to lock it off so it'll actually turn on itself. So I would suggest sticking in the diary every 3 to 4 months, just wheelchair maintenance. And what that entails is we're going to go around every single bolt, starting with the armrest, and all you're going to need is a half tweak. I mean, that one doesn't even need doing. So these are our demo chairs. I'd probably maintain our demo chairs once every 6 months because they're not getting, every single day, every single chair. So you basically just go around your chair. To get to these bolts around here, the easiest thing to do is you tilt that forward. Now you've got perfect access to these bolts. The only ones that are a bit trickier, because you do need a bigger sort of socket set, are these. These probably need to be done once a year. They won't loosen off anywhere near as much because they're very heavy duty bolts. But these will need to be done in here. On these particular ones, what you need to do is you'd have an Allen key on this side. You have to have a spanner kind of holding that tight, and then you'd have another spanner here, because if you don't, these just spin. So you'll need to do that. And then you follow exactly the same on this side. Do your half tweaks, on here. And they're all only ever going to need a half tweak. These are the ones you're going to need your Allen keys either side, because otherwise they'll spin itself. Half tweak, half tweak. And if you go around this whole chair, that one needs a little bit more than a half tweak actually. And if you go around this whole chair, on the wheels you need to be incredibly careful. Unless, literally just dig these, I haven't actually bought the right Allen key in size for here, but just dig it in, I actually have, ever so slightly to give a half tweak. If you feel like they can turn at all, just give them a small tweak. If not, do not touch them, because the last thing you want to do with these style bolts is round them off. Once you have round them off, you are completely screwed. And you'll have to cut these out and get a brand whole new alloy, because it gets pretty bad basically. So the last thing you want to do is round those off. To make sure that your Allen key always goes in any single hole completely dead square. So it's all in the whole way. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have your Allen key at an angle, or you don't want to do it from here, because straight away what happens is rather than holding it from dead square and doing it like that, you're now taking off the corners of the bolts, and all that's going to happen is you're going to round the edges. If you round your edges too much, this is going to just basically spin and turn in the bolt. Once that happens, you're pretty much screwed, and you will end up having to try and cut these out and replace the whole parts rather than just the bolts. Same with front wheels. On some of our newer ones, it's an Allen key this side and Allen key that side. So you basically get your two little Allen keys either side and you turn against each other. On our older models, you've got an Allen key bolt here and your spanner. So you'd simply put your Allen key bolt this side and your spanner on here, and you just give it a little tweak. Same with here, Allen key and spanner. Same with here, Allen key and spanner. Right. The only other places on your wheelchair that will need tightening is your controller unit. So your controller unit is basically the brain of your wheelchair. So what happens is when your joystick's attached, your joystick sends a signal down its cable to this box here, which is your controller unit, which is basically the brain of the chair. The brain then sends a signal out to the motors to tell it what to do. Over time, again, due to vibrations, under here, just pull these little hoods back. So these little hoods, these are basically waterproof hoods to stop any water getting up in these terminals. So what you want to do is you want to push these cables in, and you want to twist these dead tight, and then you want to put your hoods back down. Same with this one. Pull the hood down, push your cable in, twist. Over time, if you haven't done this, I would seriously recommend doing it. And then the last one, let's just get that hood down. It's a little bit trickier, this one. Push it in, twist. Oh, that one's quite loose. Twist that up nice and tight. And yeah, put the hood back on. And I can guarantee you, if you bought your wheelchair off us 2-3 years ago and you've never done that, it'll almost be coming out, and there'll be very, very minimal connection. 9 times out of 10, when people call us up and they think they've got a fault, really they don't. And the first thing we always check, actually the first thing we check is, are you in electric mode and trying to use it, a freewheel mode and you're trying to use it electrically, and that's why it's beeping you. 9 times out of 10, they'll go, oh yeah, silly me. And we then have to say, yeah, try it in electric mode, try the joystick again, and it works. Sometimes people get themselves in flusters, and they think something's wrong. You just need to calm down, give us a call, we'll run through things with you. Things we always need to check, first of all, are you in electric mode? If you are, tick. Next thing you need to check, how are my wires? First thing to check is, are my 3 wires going into this controller unit correctly? If they are, great. Next thing you need to check is my white arrow here lining up with my white arrow here? Am I pushing it all the way in, and am I twisting it forward and round to make a secure connection? You always know by trying to pull from here. If you can't pull it away, you're a secure connection. If you've done it like this without twisting it and you can pull away, you know that you have not got secure connection. Just lining up the white arrows and pushing that together is not good enough. You need to push in and twist to make a secure connection. Right, so the only other thing we really need to talk about is cleaning. So the best way to clean your wheelchair is with a hairdresser's water spray and a microfiber towel. So what you certainly don't want to be doing with electrical stuff is you don't want to be getting a jet wash and spraying it down after a day out on a beach promenade with kicked up sand and things like that. You don't want to be using a hose pipe, but you don't want to be doing nothing. So a mist of water is perfect. I can literally now put this mist of water over any part. I'm not scared about putting it over the battery. I can even put it over the joystick. I can put it over the wheels, the motors, and then I just get my microfiber towel. I can rub over anything that's fabric or rubber. I can rub over the wheels, rub over the batteries. Most importantly, I can rub around the motors. So the places you want to try and avoid as best as possible are anything sandy and grit. Yes, beach promenades are everyone's favourite, that's fine. Don't, whatever you do, ever go onto a sandy beach. A lot of our competitors, they show their wheelchairs being used on sand. It's completely false advertising. Yes, they will work on sand, but you will completely screw your motors up. And we will know if you've used your chair on sand because it will be really, really obvious, and that will invalidate your warranty. It will validate anyone's warranty with electric folding wheelchairs. You cannot use your wheelchair on sand unless you have what's called a sealed motor. And they're the sort of wheelchairs that look more like quad bikes than actual wheelchairs. So all of these companies that are showing their wheelchairs on sand, they're basically false advertising the users are thinking you can, and then they won't actually give you the warranty claim once you do it. So be very, very careful of that. But the last thing you want to do is get in grit inside all of this, inside your motors. So what I would do in these sort of situations, water all around here, give my motor a nice clean, like that. If I need to access different points of the chair, I'll either tip my chair on its side, and obviously not everyone's going to be able to do this. So if you've got an able-bodied partner or a next door neighbour, get them to help you out once every 6 months or whatever. Or you can tip your chair upside down on its back. You can literally access any points of the chair by either having it forward on its side or tipped up like this. And that means we can get to every single part of the chair. Obviously, it's like anything in life. The more you look after something, the longer it's going to last. So do yourself a favour, look after your wheelchair, because your wheelchair will then look after you. And I think on that note we'll end. If you have any questions, feel free to email or comment on our Facebook post when I post this on Facebook, and I can run things in a few more detail. And I'll see you on the next video, which will be Cabs and Campers.